around the first part of February. We had an original kind of cutoff date, then we had a long conversation with our partners in Latin America. They had students in Japan, so we elongated that submission deadline, which was April 28th. I will tell you that it's like my original thought was I'm just going to take this to my fellow educator friends. It will be easy. Boy, was I wrong. We have had let me give you some stats real quickly. 217 students, 19 countries, and it is a bit like judging. We had categories from K through 2, 3 through 5, 6 through 9, and 10 through 12. They are nothing less than stunning. But alas, it is time, and so we're going to announce the overall winners, and then I'm going to tell you a few prizes because I actually went to a third round of judges because it was so close. We got to really Olympic kind of Michael Phelps .001, by winning by 1,000th of a point here because they're all so very good. I plan on playing a few of them tomorrow morning before we start. And again, you've got second graders who are telling you about how we should exercise and stay mentally healthy. You've got third, fourth, fifth graders like talking to us about how we can make habitats out of Martian regolith and cover it with fungi. So these kids did their work. So to make it all, so it's like anybody who is a semifinalist, they're watching at home and you're still waiting for that confirmation email. It has been sent. Check your email. It is a long list of semifinalists, and what I'm doing, because as you know, I'm a softie, I am going to arrange for experts to Zoom with each and every participant that happened to send us an innovation, as well as some very special people I want to recognize. We had a tie for the overall winners, and they are AJ Caesar and Rohan Dugan from New Jersey. They did a project called Ridge Solar Gardens. It's exquisite, entirely feasible, and that's kind of where we came down to it. It's like there were requirements, and so it's like we would even go, okay, how'd they do in the presentation? All right, and we got down to the nitty-gritty of actual feasibility. So they are one of the overall winners who, there were a team out of New Jersey. And then our other kind of winner that tied, he is from Hungary, Barnabas Pastor. His innovation was called the Mars Mallow 2-in-1, and it was a beautiful way of growing food and providing all kinds of nutrients as well as oxygen and other things to the Martians who live there. So congratulations to all three of those young men. So a big round of applause. But a few special mentions. Planeta Roja from Colombia. I just spoke and communicated with astronaut Jose Hernandez. Again, brilliant innovation. He's going to Zoom with them, and really fantastic. There's also a kid from California named Eric, and the thing that was impressive, there wasn't entirely complete feasibility because we certainly considered him as one of the top runners for the winners, but it's about luminol. And but he did a research project. It included putting a glow stick in a freezer to see how long it would glow. Apparently it can last for over 500 hours, so we knew that he had done the work, and we were able to manage to get him a space camp scholarship. Again, we want to award these students who are working really hard. And Draco is a kid in Cape Town, South Africa, and he has an impressive way for us to stay healthy. And through our friend Steve Sherman down in Cape Town, South Africa, it just so happens that astronaut Nicole Stott is there this week visiting with students. Steve is currently planning a meetup between Draco and astronaut Nicole Stott. So all the rest of the semifinalists will be listed on our website as well as our social media, but a big congratulations. I wish I could show you all the videos because I think, again, it would inform you how incredibly in good hands our mission to Mars is. So a big round of applause for those winners, and hopefully on Thursday we'll hear from both those teams. Thank you so much.
We go straight to the important.
All right, perfect. And next up is our wonderful, amazing human. This is Charity Weeden. She is the Vice President of Global Space Policy and Government Relations at Astroscale. She is in charge of coordinating global teams of policy professionals, whether that's government relations, licensing, regulation, best practices, standards of formulation, so much more than this. Her career spans 30 years, and it has given her incredible perspective why teamwork, leadership, and service matters, and why we all win when we include diverse voices. So again, please make welcome our moderator for this next panel, Charity Weeden, and her esteemed panel. Please come on in. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. It is great to be here. First time for me at the Human to Mars conference, so thank you for the kind invitation. As was presented, Astroscale is a global company solving a global problem of space debris, but also keeping space sustainable for the long term and for our future generations. I'd love to know who here was here this morning when I think Brian Bartello was speaking. Can I see a show of hands? Excellent. So he's done my work for me, so I'll just say what he said. Okay? We're all good here. You saved 10 minutes. A couple other things, really well done, and I think this is a super important issue and relevant to you. Because over 3 decades ago, I was sitting at an auditorium at Space Academy in Huntsville, Alabama, with a couple hundred other teens eager to learn more about space. The presenter started off by asking us to look around the room at each other. He said, "One of you is going to walk on Mars." Now, as a 16-year-old, how exciting is that to hear it? I mean, I had my eyes set on being an astronaut, but I had not thought of applying that to explore other planets. And as I looked around, many in the room took inspiration from this statement, that humanity was going to Mars, and we would be the generation whose footprints marked the Martian soil. Looking back, to be honest, I feel I was led astray by that statement. It was a little hollow for me. It's one thing to give inspiration to a group of earnest, hopeful astronauts, to keep them motivated to continue STEM studies, and another to state something so directed without explaining what it would take to achieve that goal, what risks there were, or the basic reality that this was not a political priority at the time. It's true that in our line of work, optimism is an essential trait. How else can we muster the creativity, the energy to do the seemingly impossible? After all, this community's motto is, "Space is hard," and we are used to multi-decade timelines and launch date slips. But there's a shortcoming that sometimes gets the better of us. We don't pay enough attention to the prerequisite building blocks to achieve the near impossible. And the result can start to look like empty promises, not just to ourselves, but to the incoming generation of space pioneers. I like to think of myself as a human space elevator. Hear me out. My head is always in space, but my feet are firmly grounded here on terra firma. That is, I like to think practically, but boldly. And so I want to talk to you today about a key but practical building block, the foundational necessity to achieve our loftiest of goals of a multi-trillion-dollar space economy, a working cislunar environment, and yes, footprints on Mars. That prerequisite is a new approach to infrastructure, logistics, and sustainability in space, all related. In other words, we need a revolution in in-space servicing, assembly, and manufacturing, otherwise known as ISAM. Now, for the last 6 decades, We humans have treated the space environment as our operational dumping ground. We've abandoned billions of dollars worth of satellites, some of them reusable if it weren't for them simply running out of fuel. We spend billions more to haul tons of mass into space just to have it slowly drift back into our atmosphere, to burn up or crash somewhere around the planet, or worse, to pose a debris threat for centuries or millennia to come. We've used space as our testing ground for direct ascent anti-satellite missile attacks. Successfully, I'll add. Now, is this the approach that will help us on the dangerous and austere journey to Mars? That will make the most of limited resources over years-long missions? That is supportive of the humans that will be going to Mars in the cislunar environment, or even the humans in orbit above us right now? Is this an approach that supports development of the most innovative and cost-effective solutions to repair, upgrade, repurpose, reuse, or recycle in space? Is this the approach that we are proud to leave to the next generation? I think you know my answer. Now, a revolution in ISAM and thinking more sustainably needs to start at home. And I'm more optimistic than ever that nations and private actors are thinking more about these building blocks. The United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space long-term sustainability guidelines, the Paris Peace Forum's Net Zero Space Initiative, and the Artemis Accords are just a couple examples of the momentum inching towards an ISAM revolution in order to create a more sustainable space environment. Even last week, the G7 Science and Technology Communique stated that, and I quote, "We strongly encourage further research and development of orbital debris mitigation and remediation technologies. We also strongly encourage development of national guidelines and regulatory frameworks for remediation that align with guidelines developed within UN COPUOS. We call for international cooperation, including through appropriate international bodies that could encourage transparency and responsible remediation practices, and foster the future development of international guidelines in this area." End quote. Pretty strong statement from the G7. So, space sustainability is the challenge, and ISAM is the tool to both address and realize new opportunities. It is an emerging set of capabilities that has the potential to redefine space operations safety, maximize the longevity of space systems, to upgrade systems and sensors in situ, and remediate dangerous, debris-threatening space structure. And that, my friends, is a game changer for our future in space. Protecting that infrastructure, being stewards of the space environment, and ensuring a long-term vision of operations in space, independent of our location in the solar system, well, that's what gets us out of bed in the morning at Astroscale. We want in-space servicing to become routine by 2030. And you would be smart to ask, is that overly optimistic? This goal, however, is built upon creating a foundation for success, things that you're seeing us do here today. Astroscale is a central figure in new practices and norms in space. We are contributing information and ideas into regulation and policy. We are advancing in-space servicing standards, technologies, interfaces, and mission concepts. We are seeking to create financial incentives to change the economics of space. And we want you all to join in on the effort as well. to build out an ISAM ecosystem fit for purpose, one that will accelerate our presence in the solar system, but do so in a way that does not put future generations at a disadvantage. Now, over 2 decades ago, I myself uttered something overly optimistic. My team and I were presenting our final project for our undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering to a space company. I shall not name names. It was a systems design of a small orbiting service vehicle, SOSV for short. It had 2 robotic arms. Each of them had a 60-degree freedom arm with an end effector. And we used virtual reality for command and control. Yes, there was a bit of naivety in its design. I'm pretty sure we forgot about the comms package. But the only thing the reviewers, who were experienced spacecraft system engineers, the only thing they giggled about was the satellite's mass of 100 kilograms. So now let's just rewind 1 decade instead of 2. And that's when Astroscale's CEO and founder, Nobu Okada, attended a space debris conference and came out of it resolute in creating a business out of developing a long-term sustainable space environment for future generations. The company went on to launch and operate a debris removal demonstration named End of Life Services by Astroscale Demonstration, ELSA-D for short. Its wet mass was 180 kilograms. So, is having a cost-effective, routine, and safe in-space servicing and having many of these options available by 2030 overly optimistic? I say no. We're well on our way. Not with the momentum I'm now seeing in policy, best practice, standards development, enabling regulation, especially technology development and acceleration, and critically, investment. What we need now is adoption. Every space object should be designed for servicing, whether that be simple removal or complex box switching and upgrading. And all systems should limit their total risk in orbit and evaluate the rapid deorbiting options or repurposing options. We all need to continue to invest in the hardest hurdles to make in-space servicing routine by 2030. That is how we keep the momentum going towards an ISAM revolution and help keep our promise to continue to explore and inspire the next generation. The ISAM revolution is not going to happen through any one person, company, program, agency, or even country's efforts. If we encourage each other to keep engaging to build responsible behavior, that will foster a spirit of mutual empowerment, where each organization can be the impetus of progress within their sphere of influence. Collectively, cultures of innovation are bolstered by cultures of collaboration, and space sustainability is the ideal challenge to apply this practice. To the young professionals and students here today, I'm not going to make a blanket prediction. That was made to me 3 decades ago. But what I can say is that if you want to get there, if you want to play a significant role, join us in creating the conditions for a safe and sustainable exploration through ISAM, in-space servicing, assembly, and manufacturing. You are a tangible part of building our shared space future. And yes, progress can be slow. Yes, you may be ridiculed in pursuit of your goals. Yes, the political winds will often change, but remember to occasionally step back, celebrate every small progress, and tap into your resiliency reserves. I am excited to think what the next 30 years has in store for humanity in space, because you will be helping shape that future. And that includes you, Brian Bartello, yes. And for all of you already in the workforce, if we get this right, if we can successfully kick off an ISAM revolution, a responsible, sustainable space economy will be the positive legacy we pass on to future generations in Earth orbit, cislunar, Mars, and beyond. Thank you for your time today. I might have time for one question. Thank you.